30% drop so far this year, but if successful, analysts say it could turn around the troubled company and basically change wireless internet as we currently know it. Back to you.
Sandra, thank you very much. So what is the big fallout from this little development? Let's ask Eric Schonfeld. Eric is the co-editor of TechCrunch. He says that the promise of WiMax, as it's known, is much different than the reality. So you're not quite buying it yet, Eric.
Well, I think that the promise of the technology is great, and the issue here is the business. The promise of the business is not so great, especially the players who have been assembled here.
These are pretty impressive players.
Well, look at Clearwire. They lost $727 million last year. Clearwire and Sprint have already put in many billions of dollars into building out their WiMax network. This $3 billion is not going to get them a national footprint. Some estimates say that you need another $8 to $12 billion to
yeah, but it apparently gives them a speedy start at a footprint. Do you buy that they get 110 million potential footprint of customers in the next year or two?
I think it definitely helps them. I think that without this deal, their viability and very survival was in question. Yeah. And I think that they have bought some time here. But the big question is, are there too many cooks in the kitchen here?
Yeah, everyone's got this competing. They're trying to make wireless service faster. So I'm going to try to de-geek this only because I don't understand this. But here's what I do understand. The holy grail for wireless services is faster internet uploading and downloading speeds. And that if you make those like they are for broadband services that you get on your laptop or your PC at work, it could be a game changer. Could it be?
No doubt about it. What everyone wants is to bring the broadband internet from the PC to your mobile devices.
It's just a matter of time before we do, right?
It is a matter of time, and this is not the only attempt to do it. We just had the 700 megahertz auctions where Verizon and Google paired off against that, and the networks that are going to be built on top of that are going to try to do the same thing. And
but if you could just stop, because you're so smart, and I'm not. Let's say we get there. It might not be this. It might not be WiMax. It certainly wasn't Pivot when that was Sprint's last disaster. So, but let's say we eventually get there. What does that change? Does this migration to these teeny devices go full throttle? What?
It means that you have information at your fingertips wherever you are, not just when you're at your desk, right? It means when you are on the road or when you're outside, you have the full web available to you. And what that means for businesses, it means that all of the advertising that we've been figuring out on the web moves to mobile. That's why Google is so interested in this, because they want to own that.
Well, does that leave people with these home offices out? They migrate to these devices, that entertainment is on these devices, that even simple television viewing, movie viewing is on these devices. In other words, does this speed that trend?
Well, it's not like you're going to ditch your computer. You're still going to have that at your desktop. It just expands your connectivity no matter where you are.
But I know a lot of people who increasingly do, or use their computer a lot less when they can do a lot more on these little phones.
That's possible. But I think that there's a misconception here, too. WiMax, as it is today, and these services are available in about 50 cities around the country, is not primarily something to replace your cell phone. It's to replace your DSL or your cable. It's a broadband wireless
But here's the thing. You're a young guy. I think my daughter's younger than you. But I use her as sort of a tragic barometer of where the young people in this country are going. She does everything on that thing. She gets all her news. Mm-hmm. She gets apparently a lot of her homework, which worries me. Could explain grades, by the way, on this device. And she says a lot of her friends that do the same thing. So if we remove the last obstacle, and that is just it's slow, it's cumbersome, what then?
Well, if you remove that divide, if you remove that barrier, then you open up a lot of opportunities for businesses to create new services for these devices, new applications, new experiences for consumers.
But you still have your doubts.
I still have my doubts. I mean, it's very interesting. All of a sudden, everything becomes location aware, and the applications on these devices are very much tuned to where you are, not just who you are. Mm-hmm. And that's very promising. But I think you still have to look at, can this business deliver, right? This is a business show. Can this business deliver? Who are the players? who are behind this, and what are their motivations? What are the motivations of Comcast and
making money
and Time Warner? Well, no, their motivations are they're driven by fear. They're driven by the fear of Verizon and AT&T, and this isn't really the answer to that.
All right, Eric, thank you very much. Very good seeing you. Well, my next guest says this long-range, high-speed WiMax would socially